Welcome to Star Citizen and an XXL Roadmap Monthly and Squadron 42 report. Shortly before the digital CitizenCon, there was a lot of information and updates from various areas, some of which already showed major progress, which together with the announcements from CitizenCon are very exciting. Therefore, as usual, we have analyzed all available informations for you and linked it in the corresponding areas of development, such as the roadmap, Squadron 42, the release and progress tracker, as well as the current announcements in order to offer you a more complete picture here. So even before CitizenCon, we find out a lot of new details and upcoming features like the personal inventory, various new ships, Pyro, jump points and more. We start with the latest monthly report. The new worker behavior has been finished, which will replace many old behaviors until environment-specific AI is added. Also, outposts have been given the Tier 0 security feature. Now NPCs can find and use useful items on their patrols, making their routes more believable and less robotic. NPCs can also guard entrances by blocking entry or checking IDs. New items have been added to the bartender's repertoire, allowing us to order a drink at Area 18. Merchants as well as doctors and nurses have been implemented and work is progressing well. Various perceptual changes have been made to the stealth mechanics, including the development of a mechanism to adjust the range of sound effects such as weapon shots, bullet impacts, footsteps and jumps. In addition, sound events can be displayed to developers in the future, providing enhanced development opportunities. In melee combat, the combo system has been improved so that designers can add new combos quickly and easily. The AI feature team also worked with the actor team to find a solution for the AI hitting low or high targets with melee attacks by adjusting the rotation of the spine bones up and down to bend towards the target. Motion capture animations for crouching, surrendering, perception reactions and using unarmed cover have also been continued. Furthermore, some issues with ships defending a lead ship getting stuck in a loop when trying to select a new target were fixed. The AI tech team focused on optimizing various AI systems to improve performance, including turret behavior. The focus was on 3D collision avoidance for AI ships in complex scenes with tight spaces. There were major updates to pathfinding, execution and movement, as well as further advantages in planetary navigation. For the subsumption editor, the implementation of the docking system was completed, allowing the user interface to be redesigned. Animation team improves vendors, including the addition of new items and location-based objects and transitions. Extensive new idle animations for seated characters have been added, and work is on the way to ensure that no character looks like a statue anymore, but more like a living person. Selection and deselection assets have been reworked to work in harmony with the new inventory systems. Improvements have been made to the drunk's locomotion, which will greatly improve the look. Characters for Alpha 3.15 and beyond have been prepared by the art team. 2 new armors have been completed and will be introduced in the upcoming patch to address different gameplay areas. And 2 new helms scheduled for release at the end of the year have been modeled for subscribers. These will be paired with color variants of existing armors, like the recently released Star Kitty and Kabuki helms, so we can already see what color range these new armors will go into. The final touches for the items and skins of the 4 finalists of the Ship Showdown have been completed. The character design have been advanced with the contents of Alpha 3.16, including a texture update. This will massively improve the quality of the character editor and NPCs for the Persistent Universe and Squadron 42. For Pyro, the creation of costumes packs for Frontier-style clothing continued, which will serve as a basis for clothing across the system. Several armors for the Zenith Red gang were also modeled, using their CDS armor as a basis. The US ship team completed the final design for the Crusader Ares. This involved implementing the new large-scale glow workflow, a new shader, into the thrusters to improve lighting. A two-part material system has also been set up to help both the unarmored Iron and armored Inferno versions with their visual design, so each version of the ship will look slightly different. The Drake Vulture is now in the grey box phase, the interior is now complete and the team is focusing on finishing the exterior, including the salvaging arms, grinder, body, cockpit, landing gear and engines. A folding exterior ladder has also been added, allowing players to access the cockpit from the sidearm. One of the previously mentioned unannounced ships is currently in the final design phase, with a focus on polishing materials and nacelles. The focus is currently on dynamic animations to give players more feedback when the ship is in motion. And since we are dealing with nacelles, the obvious conclusion is that it could be a ship from RSI. And we have at no time brought into play or even mentioned the RSI Apollo or Medivac. In this context, that would be a pure speculation. Another ship discussed in last month's report has now been completed. The team is planning a walkthrough to fix the bugs and is preparing to set the final color range. This is talking about the new version of a popular and already existing ship. Our guess here is still a medical version of an existing ship. The UK team has one unannounced ship in the pipeline, while several others have reached a final design state. Tasks for the Crusader A2 Hercules have been completed, including minor polishing and bug fixes. The upcoming MISS cargo ships, the entire hull series, are progressing well. Numerous details have been completed to the hull C, while the hull A is nearing white box review. The audio team was deployed to prepare for the various events. Horizon received the final polish, with SFX and dialog for Cousin Crows and the Crusader showrooms being completed, along with an enhancement of the ambience. The music of Horizon Spaceport step continued to progress, and Grimhack service areas and hospitals received their final SFX and dialog passes. Further, effects were added for the medical bed and bombing UI. Finally, the audio team worked on SFX and dialogues for Intergalactic Aerospace Expo 2951. In August, the physics team further optimized the backend code. Extensive parts of the relevant collision detection routines were optimized. Soft body topology loading and creation, backend code and memory management were also improved. The Gen 12 render interface is now used throughout the engine, which is another step in the transition to the new render paradigm. Some changes have also been made to the shader system. The initialization of the shader parser has been simplified. However, these changes will be introduced after Alpha 3.15 and should fix some long-standing issues some users have had. The code for local cloud shadows have been refined. Clouds now cast their shadows on the entire scene, which is important for proper scene integration, as the team being to use them on planets as well. Work has also been completed to improve the rendering of cloud edges to give them a more volumetric look. So not only do we get the clouds on moons and planets, but at the same time they are visually enhanced again significantly and performance is improved. On the core engine side, support for app data access for Windows have been added. The team plans to move all temporary files of the game client to this new location in the future. Thus, in the future we will be able to find our user data, settings and more under app data, just like in other games. In the area of server meshing, the code was decoupled so that server meshing can be run as a standalone service. The team also focused more on optimizations, with certain game scenarios being analyzed and updated frequently. This led to several improvements that will also be introduced after Alpha 3.15. The feature team focused on the new player inventory. Item filtering is high on the list of quality improvements here. The Graycad Multi-Tool is now the first gadget with two types of reloads, one for the vial of the healing attachment and one for the battery. This means that the user has to manage two different resources. In gameplay features, support for local inventories continued and the Knickknacks app was prepared for Alpha 3.15, with a focus on fixing bugs and polishing the user interface. Mission teams are improving content tie-ins to reputation system, setting up shops and bartenders in Horizon and preparing for Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. Work has begun on allowing items to be sold in shops, the future overhaul of Freight and Jumptown version 2. The vehicle feature team made good progress on job points and significantly improved party jumping. The team also developed new animation techniques for their Hull C. The vehicle experience team tested the bombing mechanics. They are now in the final bug fixing and optimization phase before release with feedback from the Evocati and PTU phases. Significant improvements have been made to the missile turrets for a future release, and experiments have been conducted on missile turning and balancing throughout the game. The team is also exploring how to further enhance the operator modes. Vehicle features were also prepared for Alpha 3.15 ship releases. The graphics team made further performance improvements to the render profile as well as optimizations to post effects such as depth of field, motion blur, terrain rendering and fog to maintain the same performance at higher resolutions. In addition, the water shader was improved. The lighting team polished and optimized Horizon's new shops, Cousin Crow's, Providence Surplus and the Crusader showroom. They also continued to complete the upcoming hospitals and clinics. Support for the Colonial Outpost continued, with lighting transitions nearly complete for all current modules and components. Text to revise Heinz, support for new gameplay features was added, as well as diary entries explaining some of the more complex systems. For knickknacks, the team adjusted items' names and values, and notably changed all armor capacities from save points to micro SCU. The Delphi Reputation app was also revised, as organizations can now have multiple areas where players can earn ranks. Details on the hacking gameplay under development, Pyro space stations and non-water-based oceans were fixed. The AI team focused on improving the movement of NPCs, which has far-reaching implications. In addition, turrets, targeting systems and general functions were tested in response to player threats. The Systematic Service and Tools team continued to work on the economy, tools and quantum, which is the AI simulation. The service engineers are now working with gameplay engineering on a new gameplay system for the commercially mined player. Will we get cargo missions and reputation as traders here? Space Truckers unite! Work on intelligent NPC spawning continued successfully, with the team reaching an impressive internal milestone. The UI team focused on performance improvements and optimized some areas of their user interface. The UI team also worked on the screens for the upcoming infiltration and defense mission types and completed the screens for hospitals and personal inventory. Vehicle engineering has been putting the finished touches on a Squadron 42 specific vehicle mechanic, with the goal of integrating it into the persistent universe as well. In addition, the groundwork was laid for the integration of radar and scanning for FPS gameplay. Some functional changes to the radar and scanning designs are also in the works. Major improvements to the control of doors and other space-related interactions, lighting, atmosphere and communication systems are in the prototyping stage. The goal is to allow players to control their environment as they explore it on foot. This involves a variety of lighting and communication control options on panels and vehicles. VFX finished work on new vehicle wrecks, as well as effects for yet-to-be-announced ship. Finally, more development work was done on Theaters of War. Let's move on to the roadmap roundup, as there was some exciting news here as well. In the progress tracker, planning has begun to extend into Q4 2021, which is now reflected in the tracker. This means that there are some new items which are highlighted below. Transition to player shards. With the introduction of fully persistent shards, items and chips left in open space are tied to those shards until a player collects them and stores them in an inventory or parks a ship at the landing site. To provide a smoother experience, a feature will be implemented that will automatically save these freely placed items to the shard when areas are streamed, and place them on another shard when the player logs into a new shard. This allows players to find their freely placed ships and items in open space, regardless of which shard instance they are assigned to when they log in. And this somewhat wooden description is nothing more than an area of the icache system which is connected to the server meshing, which appears here between the lines on the horizon. So the second big core mechanic next to the icache system are already starting with 3.15. The extended development of the character creation for the single-player campaign Squadron 42 is added. This is a direct indicator that Squadron 42 development is already more advanced. AI ships will be allowed to drop their cargo and reinforcements on unstructured ground, such as planetary terrain where no predefined landing site and air traffic control support is available. AI navigation links are implemented, including for lifts and transit, which will enable NPCs to use and recognize these links. Furthermore, there are extensive improvements to the animations and behavior of civilian NPCs to make them feel less stiff and robotic and allows them to move more naturally. With the Graycad Industrial Salvage backpack, we get a special backpack that is geared towards the storage of salvage material. Outfits for the staff of the Lowell Hospital will be implemented, as well as different equipment variants for the staff in general. We will also receive equipment for the staff of the Levski Hospital, which, as you know, is located in the Nix system. The work on Levski is taking place in many areas, which suggests a timely implementation. The Area 18 hospital staff outfits, as well as medical outfits for outlaws, will also be implemented. Extensive texture updates for various NPCs and player heads, which will significantly improve the texture quality in Star Citizen and Squadron 42, are in the works. Several armor variants for the Pyro gang Xenothreat are being developed. The fire extinguisher returns to the progress tracker. Finally reviewed and planned for 3.15 are the Grimhex Clinic as well as the A2 version of the Hercules Starlifter. But also in the area around the single-player expansion Squadron 42 there was an extensive update. Here, however, we limit ourselves only to those areas that we not already in the roadmap or monthly report analysis. The AI team has started to roll out the Tier 0 Engineer, which is already fully functional. Inspections with the datapad, and inspections with the welding tool at different angles can already be done through the Tier 0 version. The hygiene behavior has been updated and is now complete, with new animations added for the toilet and shower. Work had also begun on the new shooter behavior. Currently, NPCs find and use ship turrets. The next step will allow them to rush to turrets when their ship is under attack. The story team continued to work on the scenes, working closely with level design to implement and revise them. The Phase team created animations for various story scenes and made improvements once the new heads were online. Then dual combat also continued with a focus on melee and questing. Characters were further refreshed in September, with the most common outfits scheduled for the fourth quarter. After that, the completion level of all characters will be 85 to 90%. Skin textures and hair were also updated to bring all characters, hero and background to a next-gen quality level. The environment graphics continue to work through the all campaign locations, leaving enough room to adapt to ongoing design and gameplay elements. In September, the physics team continued to optimize the backend code. Various parts of the relevant collision detection routines were optimized. The gameplay story team worked on interactions in several exhibition hall scenes before making a technical breakthrough by getting NPCs to walk correctly while holding helmets on their both arms. In parallel, the Graves Walk and Talk was revised in Chapter 5. The Space Dogfight team expanded some of the patrol rooms at the beginning of the game to better support the new scan implementation. Cockpit communications have also been improved. Ongoing work on AI also continued with a focus on old man's behavior. Level design added more detail to the FPS spaces, while the social design team continued the important task of implementing all the scenes in the game for review. New environment narrative documentaries do not only flesh out the story and character of location, but also provide initial ideas for setting design, such as appropriate signage and branding were created. Cinematics created new chapter content. The team also supported the ongoing development of the Vandul AI and general AI function improvements. The UI team worked on the aegis and RSI interface styles so that they can be used on different interactive screens. Progress was also made on the upcoming redesign of the Starmap, which will be used in both Persistent Universe and Squadron 42. And this is probably one of the long-awaited features for all citizens, a new version of the Starmap. Posters and signage were created to make a yet-to-be-revealed area more vivid and realistic. The VFX team put together a mini-strike team for an epic scene with a large number of enemies. A new particle rig was created for distance vehicles, allowing cinematics to animate a whole range of effects on low-poly vehicles, without AI. But there were also enhancements and some improvements in the concierge program, which we would of course like to present to you. Many of the current and upcoming improvements to the Chairman's Club, including more staff to answer concierge tickets, extended promotional periods for concierge members and more, have been worked on. Concierge support staff have been increased, which should ensure better service, and 2 more areas will also be implemented before the end of 2021. All concierge members will receive additional buyback tokens, although details on frequency and quantity are still pending. In addition, all concierge members will receive a free digital Star Citizen download once they reach the Chairman's Club, which will be permanently added to the account to offer more flexibility in fleet management. This allows packs to be melted down without having to consider any match packs and losing access to the game. And since the digital CitizenCon is coming up on Saturday, we would like to invite you to experience this event live together with us and our guests. We'll be starting at 3 PM with the warm-up, and the CitizenCon will be live on Twitch from 5 PM, where we've prepared countless giveaways and promotions for you. Ships, game packages, items, skins and much more will be up for grabs in the live stream from 3 PM. And of course, you also take part in our monthly giveaways. And one of our main guests is Ferrister. We welcome him to join us at the CitizenCon. We are looking forward to seeing you live on Twitch from 3 PM on Saturday. I hope you enjoyed the video and leave me a like and maybe even a subscribe here. With the linking of the icache system with an early version of the server shards, the server meshing, as well as the far-reaching improvements and progress, it will be very exciting to see what we will experience in CitizenCon. The excitement has definitely increased again. But as always, I'm interested in your opinions on the subject. What do you think of the current improvements? Let me know in the video comments, in Discord or in the almost daily Twitch live streams. But as always, the most important thing at the end, a big thank you to all supporters, whether Patreons, channel members or Twitch subscribers. Without you this wouldn't be possible at all, and you are an enormous motivation for which we would like to say thank you. You rock! And of course, there will be extensive and top-notch giveaways from the best partners and us again this month. You can find how to take part and what to expect in the following announcement trailer. Good luck! I say goodbye until next time. See you soon, and as always, see you in the verse.
Let's go dancing in the city lights. Ready, gonna be no better time. We're feeling high and you know we got a good flow. And there ain't no one gonna tell us no. No, let's go. No hesitating. We gotta move, we gotta shake, we gotta get up on our feet and liberated. You feel like something's out of control. Your mind says yes and your body says oh, let's go, let's go. The sky is lit and it's gonna be a good night. What's mine is yours if it makes you feel alright. I wanna dance, I can feel it in my bones now. Feel the pull, oh, come on, let your body flow. So let's go. No hesitating. We gotta move, we gotta shake, we gotta get up on our feet and liberated. You feel like something's out of control. mind says yes and your body says oh. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We gotta get up on our feet and liberate it. Let's vibe and levitate it. We gotta shout, we gotta sing, and we make no apologies, we celebrate it. Feel like something's out of control. Your mind says yes and your body says oh. Let's go, let's go, let's go.